Welcome back to pregame.tv, NBA Finals, Game 2. He's Ken Thomson. I'm Marco D'Angelo. Ken, Game 1. What was your take watching Game 1 when, you saw this game and it looked like a little bit of a chess match to get started and nobody really pulled away from either? Miami had the lead most of the game until early in the fourth quarter. What was your take here? What did you see out of the game?
First off, thank goodness for in-running wagering because I had the over for the game. Sitting fat, 101 at the half, 52-49. I mean, I got 188, so I needed 87 points, and I could just see it. 20-20 in the third quarter, but it could have been even worse than that. But I'm watching LeBron in the first half, and even the third quarter this time. We saw him turn it on in the third quarter against Indiana, one game where he struggled in the first half. But, Marco, I'm watching all these shots that he has with an arm's length where he can knock down these threes regularly, and he's not pulling the trigger. And I know he had 18 boards. Next closest guy only had 5 rebounds for Miami. Kind of blows you away when you look at the stat sheet there. But he had 18 points, 18 boards. But he could have 35 points. He needs to take those shots to get rolling. He's only 1 of 5 behind the arc. That's not going to get it done. And if you let a San Antonio team hang around, they have that veteran leadership. They have one of the best point guards of all times, Tony Parker. He'll take advantage, and he'll make you pay. And he made that incredible shot. Got a little lucky on the roll. But, hey, good players, good things happen.
Absolutely. I looked at the game. My take is what I saw with LeBron in that first quarter is I think they tried to use the same formula that they used against the Pacers, where he tried to get everybody else involved early to get them going and then let the game come to him later, which worked against the Pacers, but it didn't work in this one against San Antonio, because San Antonio, as you said, hung around. For the first 3 quarters, it's Miami by 3 to 5 points. They never kicked it, way out there, but it was always 3 to 5. They had the lead. You're feeling good, and I had Miami in Game 1. I'm not going to, hide the fact of that. And I thought, okay, get it to the fourth quarter. They get the job done. They start to foul. If, it gets down to a chess match with the fouls and that, will be okay. But the start of the fourth quarter, I'm like, what are you doing when they had both LeBron and Dwayne Wade on the bench as long as they did to start the fourth quarter? I know you want to get that, give them, get that blow, get them, a little bit of, air, rejuvenate them. But you can't have both of your scorers not on the floor at the same time.
No.
And that's when San Antonio took the lead. They came from behind, took the lead, and then, then you're playing catch-up, and it just didn't happen.
At this stage of the game, this is where Michael Jordan says, I'm playing 46 minutes. I don't need all that rest. We saw Paul George and Hibbert on the bench in Game 7 for a good 4 or 5 minutes, and I'm watching Indiana fall further and further behind. And are you kidding me? And I like Vogel. I think he's an outstanding coach, but he made a major mistake there. You won't see Popovich make that mistake. You're not going to see Duncan and Parker sitting on the bench for a long time unless things are flowing well with the second team. If they're struggling, he'll take that 20-second timeout, get his right crew back in there. They only need a short breather, Marco. I mean, these guys are pros. This is what it's all about. This is what you work for. Hey, remember, these guys, these big guys, they sat out in the 2 head-to-head competitions against each other. They should be well rested.
They should. And the thing between Game 1 and Game 2, the way the schedule is, they had 2 days before they played. They played on Monday, then they didn't play till Thursday.
Right.
So Miami had 2 days totally off. Then you play on Thursday, and then you don't play again till Sunday. So you have Friday and Saturday off. These first 2 games, there should be no problem with fatigue for the Heat. Now, when they play Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, then it's going to be the normal, only one game in between. It's a different story. But for these two, you got to go out and get it. And with this format, and this is a question before we actually get to your pick, how do you feel about it? Everybody has mixed emotions. You play the 2-2-1-1-1 all the way through. Then you get to the NBA Finals, and it's 2-3-2. And to me, I think the home team is actually at a disadvantage, even though you have 4. Because, first of all, how many times do you get to to game sevens.
Right.
We don't get, that's where you get your advantage. We're in a situation that if the road team steals one of those first two, they got the next three at home.
Mm-hmm.
They can take control of the series. I don't like it, and I think that's why you've got to go all out to win those first two games at home as the home team, and it's not being done with having your two stars sitting on the bench.
I don't like that they change it. Why would you change it? How can you play all these other rounds 2-2, 1-1-1, and then go 2-3-2? It just doesn't make any sense. Who's benefiting by that? It's not like the league doesn't have the money for the travel. They spread out the TV. We've seen that throughout this entire playoff thing. I mean, it's ridiculous. Stay consistent. We look for that from umpires. Let's have some consistency. Same thing with the NBA. 2-2, 1-1-1.
All right. What we're going to do here, we have two picks in this video. You're going to give the total. I'm going to give the side. So we're going to go with your play first, the over-under. Let's make it official for your over-under.
There you go. And as Marco said, let's make it official. I got burned on the over in the first game. And, again, I was able to make a little bit back during the in-running wagering. When you had 101 at the half, you knew there's a chance it could go back towards the under. But I still thought the game would go over. But then they really slowed things down latter part of the third quarter and then the beginning of the fourth quarter. So I knew it was going to be an under. It was going to be tough unless there was fouling down the stretch, unless Miami was able to get there and tie things up at the end. And they weren't. Once it got to 88-81, I knew Miami was in a lot of trouble. But I'm going to go over again. I'm going to give it another shot on the over. Again, 42% combined, these two teams from the floor, combining for 32% from behind the arc. And that's a weakness there. I want to see Bonner step up and hit some threes. How about Leonard and Neal? 1 of 9 combined. Also, same thing with Bosch and James. 1 of 9 combined from behind the arc. I think you'll see better shooting. Parker did his job with 21. Duncan did his job with 20. LeBron, 18 points. Now, that's good. 18 points, 18 rebounds. Sounds real good. Not for LeBron, not in a championship game. What does that come down to? It comes down to 4.5 points a quarter. Are you freaking kidding me? LeBron James, best player? 35 points, LeBron, and we know how good Miami is coming off a loss. Double-digit wins usually. It's been consistent that way throughout the playoffs. So I think Miami has a big game as far as their offense. I think San Antonio is still good enough and enough key components to knock down shots. Love the way Green is shooting the ball. 4 of 9 from behind the arc. Expect more of that. So I'm going to take the over. I think it's one that I could literally see going over 200 if both teams shoot the way that they should and get off to that same start. You had a 28-26 second quarter. Love that. You give me that 54-point quarter, there's no reason the game should not go over. I'm going to play it pregame.tv. Give me San Antonio. Give me Miami. Give me the game over the total, Marco.
All right. I can't say that I disagree with you because when we get to my play and make it official, I'll tell you why. So
all righty.
Let's make mine official. All right, guys, I'm going to go with the Miami Heat here. And yes, this looks like the obvious play, but it is. It's the season on the line for Miami. And Ken alluded to it, how Miami bounces back. Well, I'm going to tell you how they bounce back. This year, following a loss, they're 14-6 against the spread. And they've won by double digits. Also, whenever they play with revenge. So they're coming on a revenge situation against a team that they've played before and lost the last time. 14-4. This team knows how to make adjustments to teams that beat them, and they come out with a vengeance. Also, if we're talking about adjustments, this agrees with what Ken's saying with the over. Miami's got to up the tempo because they don't want to play a half-court game. That is playing into the strength of San Antonio. We saw San Antonio take care of Memphis, a team that plays a half-court offense. The team they had the trouble with was the Golden State Warriors. Why? Because Golden State could play up-tempo. When San Antonio was able to get the game into the 90s, upper 80s, they took care of Golden State. When Golden State was out and running, they had problems. Miami's got to force the issue in this game, and that starts with LeBron James and ends with LeBron James. He's got to drive it to the hoop and get some guys in foul trouble, make the offense happen. Also, going to point out something from the last series, and we're going to make it come into play here. This is the season on the line for Miami. We're paying a little bit of a premium. You're laying 6 points in the game, but I like it. Zigzag theory. In the last series, Miami and Indiana, after game one, You just took whoever lost the previous game, you went 6-0 against the spread the rest of the way. That goes back into the point with this Miami team. It's like they have a light switch. Whenever they come off a loss, they're focused. When they're coming off a win, they're not. Well, they're coming off a loss, and they're coming off their season's on the line. So they're going to be as focused as they possibly can be, because with the format, and we talked about it, going to San Antonio for 3 games. If they go down 0-2, this series is over. They got to win this one. I'll take the Heat. We'll lay the points. He says to take the over. I agree with Ken on that as well. Let's make it official. He's got it, the over. I've got Miami. That's your 2 plays for Sunday.
And Marco, I just got to commend you again on all your horse racing tips. I know you did a lot of videos here yesterday, but you're spot on. And I know for you folks that haven't checked those videos out, do that before the Belmont Stakes, because this guy knows his horses. He owns part of horses, has his own horses. So trust me, he's not just somebody that's spurting stuff out about these ponies. He knows what he's doing. And I appreciate the information myself, because I benefit over here at pregame.com myself.
All right, there you go. All right, guys, we'll be back next week. You'll have the Tuesday crew in. Fezzik, VR, Brian Leonard.
3 Stooges, man.
He said it, I didn't. I'm not disagreeing, though. And we'll be back on Friday with our stuff. And you can also catch Ken here in Las Vegas, Sports X Radio, 720 on the AM.
AM 720 KDWN, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m.
All right, guys, have a great weekend. Enjoy the games, and hope you cash some tickets.